Welcome back to another in-between session of Product Like It's Friday, even though it's Saturday today. And yesterday, Mary and I were on together, although I had an abrupt ending, but prolonged as well, I feel like, because we did, over 2 hours. I lost connection and then dropped off. So I did not watch the stream after that happened. So my assumption is that Mary wrapped up, but she might have done more. Um, and I didn't want to see because I kind of wanted uh, to look at the designs once more without knowing if anything had changed there. Yesterday, we worked on the timer from a coding perspective. Mary had worked on some more of the screens, particularly the leaderboard screen or the leadership screen. And and today I'll try and wrap up the timer. I haven't touched the code since yesterday, and play around with a few things that I'm not familiar with. I'm not sure how they work. And then I will try and start on some of the other pages at least. So let's see how that goes. All right, so where we left off, I had a bouncing timer, but I'm not sure that it should be bouncing all the time. So I just want to see if maybe that bounce can start perhaps at the maybe when the colors change. So maybe at 50%, it just bounces a little. And then definitely at 5, it keeps bouncing. So right now, that bounce is applied here broadly, and I don't want that. Instead, I might have let's just say something like animation class, icon animation class. And let's try and define this icon animation class somewhere around here. And we could probably make it computed as well. So icon animation class. This thinks that we want to do a different animation at different stages. But what I kind of want to do is what I kind of want to do is if I reach any of these milestones, I want to apply this and then maybe half a second or 1 second later remove it. So at this milestone, and then maybe here I keep it. So this milestone, it bounces just for a bit, and then here it stays. So perhaps I don't want this. I want a ref, which should be empty to begin. And then I can get rid of this. So it's a ref that's empty to begin. And then when this happens, I'm just trying to think here. So const timer color. So I'm thinking I actually don't want colors. Let's just say class. And by default, it's this. And then what I actually want is a watch on timer percent remaining, which will modify the classes below. So in this case, I don't need to modify anything, though I could. So I could just say timer color class dot value is this, and then get that orange in there, and then get that red in there. It wants us to define these before we start setting them, so that's fine. And then let me go to the timer colors here and replace that with timer color class instead. I don't have to put this in an array, but I am just because I want to. Okay. I can go ahead and get rid of this, although for now I'll just comment it out. Although for some reason, my um, my IDE wants to comment JavaScript code out as if it was HTML code. I should mention I have my coffee at the ready. I also have a banana present in case it's in case I need it, in case I get hungry. It's on call. Okay, so here I am adding these animation classes. I'm also going to comment this out for now. And just make sure that this process of color changing is working, given that I've refactored this a little bit. So I expect this at 50% to change color to orange. It does, and then perfect. So that is all functional, and we have no bounce. What my thought is over here, I say something like this, yes. So I want, yeah, this won't comment out properly again. I want a bounce animation, but then I want to remove that bounce animation in like a second here. And I don't know what this will do precisely. And then here, I just want that bounce animation back. No, here, sorry, here I don't want it. I do want it here. And then I want this here. This is red. And then here it just remains. So let's see how that works. So at 5 seconds, will it bounce just once? That seems, what just happened there? Ah, okay. So because this is constantly changing, this application makes no sense. Like this doesn't happen just once, right? This continuously happens. So that apply once thing isn't going to work. So for now, I'm actually not even going to bother with it because I really don't want to spend too much time on that and trying to get that working. For now, I'm just happy with this continuous bounce when we get to less than 25 seconds. Let's just feel that out and see if that causes any like issues. No issues. Yeah, and the reason here is I was setting it. 1 second later, I would remove it, but then this keeps running over and over. So this kind of gets applied again and again and again and gets removed again and again and again. And that was causing that jitteriness that we saw. All right. Kind of happy with that. I don't think there's necessarily much to do there. This will keep bouncing, which I'm actually okay with because it's kind of like, hey, it's answer time, you know, like, all right. I'll leave this commented out just as a reminder for myself to say, hey, like to do, figure out how to apply just once. It's just that I don't want to spend any brain cycles on that at the moment. So we're in a good spot to kind of wrap up the work that we wanted on the timer. So I did commit last time, and then it's just the bounce that I didn't commit. Okay. Adding bounce to the timer icon. And maybe there's some more animations and styles that we can play around with later, but for now, this is fine. Let me take a look at where the design's netted out. Okay, so we didn't discuss this yesterday much at all. It seems like Mary has added kind of a confirm your list situation here. Okay, so we have here you'll notice the background is different than the background here. Because Mary and I off stream had some discussion on exactly sort of the darkness and the lightness and the balance. So these are some different variations. I'm good to try them out in practice when I get to them. But for now, it might actually even be one of the last steps that I do because I'm more interested at the moment in getting some of these like playable elements in first. So, oh, okay. Fastest thinker, fastest exit. Oh, ouch. Fastest exit. Okay. Let's see what design for cases where the game ends early. Yeah, so there's the case where the game ends early and we have to maybe list more people. But let me go for the case where there is a single winner and we can adjust that and I can kind of use some of these elements still in order to do that. Currently, we can track the fastest thinker and the fastest exit, but I might just display the remaining people in the last round that did not win, just as a starting point. And then these can come in later as we're thinking of other elements. So let me get to the game and let's create a game situation. So in this case, it makes sense for me to start a new game with just a few people, maybe just even 3. And if I just play a single round where 2 people lose, then I kind of want these 2 people or whomever it is to become, so we'll say incorrect, we'll say correct, and then we'll say incorrect. And this end game button, I need to style properly. So that's a ghost button first, so that should be visible. Let's see where I'm using ghost. Seems like I'm using it in a few places. I feel like in none of these places should it be ghost. So I'm going to say outline instead of ghost. Right? Oops. Outline, and then outline, and then outline everywhere, right? That should never really be ghost because you can barely see it. Outline doesn't really work because it seems like I'm overriding that inner color. So, okay, let me take a look at what I'm doing. Color text white because success and error. I'm forcing text white, which I shouldn't do. And I should only do that if, so what happens if I remove this for now? Now, some of my other buttons I realize will break, but this is still worth it enough for me to get a sense of it. So this is correct. Other buttons will break at different points, and maybe I can fix them more specifically. So I think my overriding the style here like this ultimately was not a good idea. So anyway, for this case, I want to simply end the game, and now I have my leadership board. There's 1 active remaining player, and there's 2 players that are inactive from the last round. So yeah, let me see what I can do here. And then later on, I'll go through the game again and try and fix the buttons. So we have the leader. Have I been calling it the leadership board? We have the leaderboard, which gets the game details. And let me see what's present here in the network tab in terms of the data we're getting. Although this now, I want just, is that right? In that first hit, there's no XHR. And is that because, just trying to think here, is that because these are all coming in through HTML on load, like on that first hit? That's what it seems like. Okay, let's take a look here. So the game data has players, and then there's a round number, which should indicate the current round of the game or the last round. and then I can grab the turns based on the last round here, because the last, like the turns is important here. And I am, it seems, doing that here. Game ID round number. So I'm happy to just copy this over alongside the game data. And here I'll have to do some modifications as well, which I didn't do. So I should follow this pattern of data game here. I should also follow that pattern of game.value, setting my kind of global state, not this, turns.value, and setting my global state here as well. And then there's no round ID here. We take the round ID from the game data. So data game dot value dot number, short as string parse, that's fine. Except undefined. I don't think we need to do that, right? Can I just say or one? Doesn't like it because it needs a string. So, I mean, I guess we are okay just doing this then. And so this should get me the turns as you said the turns. And then anywhere we have players here, I want to do game.value.players, which is a bit of refactoring we did way back. And I can get rid of players.value here. We'll no longer be using that. And then I can get rid of this here as well. And then game.value.players, and then get rid of that. And let's see if there isn't any other place where players are being used. Game.players here. We don't need to do value. And there does not seem to be another place. I have active players, and I think I'm just using that. Where am I using that? Oh, yeah. So I'm just listing out the active remaining players here. But in this case, I guess we'll cover the case where there's just one remaining player. Okay. Let's look at the design and see if there's any additional things that I need to address ahead of time. It does not feel like it. So game results to start. Let's just take a look at the styling here. Okay. So instead of leaderboard, this will become game result. And what do I have? This by default lives over here. And that's fine. We can just do a flex items center here. And then what was it? Game results. Okay, and let's take a look at that. This should now be, I would have thought this would have been centered. Oh no, justify, center. That ought to bring it to the center, perfect. And a couple other styles over there, right? So it's semi-bold, and I don't think I need to change the size, just semi-bold. Okay, and then let's take a look at what I need to do in here. Do I need to change that size? Let's see what happens. Let's see what it feels like here. Like that does not look right in relation to everything else. So let's try just Excel. That looks a little bit right, but even then, just I know this is not as zoomed in, but I guess this is it. Let's just go with this for now. And then in the central business, I got, oops, I have to get this crown icon in there, get a winner, and get honorable mentions. And so it seems like this here is the central thing, and then this here is the secondary thing. So I want in here kind of two main divs. We'll just use these. I'm putting something in there because if I save here, oh no, it didn't happen. Sometimes this happens where it'll kind of close my tag. Okay, we got hello there. I think another thing I want to do is, which I did with all the other screens, but not this one, is always have it take up the full space of the page. So let me actually do that first. And let's get here and ucard, and let's just copy that and bring that here. We're no longer doing container. Something broken? I'm just noticing that my auto formatting is not working. So yeah, there we go. I had to restart. I guess that happens sometimes where it just doesn't want to work. Okay, so now whatever I did is causing this. So let's adjust. And you'll notice in the other cases, I just have a U card without any other details here. And I do have a class on this particular U card. I'll just copy that over. I don't feel the need to make that into a make that into any other thing yet. And I feel like I just add an H full here as well. And that should take up the full screen. It doesn't. That's because this doesn't have a full. So can I just remove this and not worry about that at all and just have my U card be the card? And that's something more along the lines of what I'm expecting. Obviously, I'll get rid of this data here so it won't interfere. And now we have a fuller screen that I can play around with. Okay, so let's get these elements in here and let's style some of them. So I need a crown. I have a badge here, and I think next UI, explore components straight up. Why not? Badge, and see if I can't just use a badge like this out of the get-go. Oops. Say winner, and then see what that looks like. I can say text charcoal 900. Let's go super dark here. I could probably just see what Mary had set there actually. And the color is this, which I'm not sure what it aligns with, but I'm okay with just using this. So I could go 950 and we can adjust. And the other thing is uppercase. And then let's get our font weight is medium. And let's get our crown here in place. So that's the frame, that's the crown itself. And this I feel like is actually just, I don't have to extract this as SVG. This is simply an icon. So let me just copy a case of an icon here. And this hello is no longer serving its purpose. Okay, let's just see what this looks like, and then we can adjust the colors and the styles. So let's get this one on top of another. Let's adjust the size, height and width, 76.5. I'll just go size 20. Here, that should make it 80 on both sides, and that's what we'll live with. And then let me remove the margins. They don't serve a purpose. this class can be flex call, and then I'll live with the gap before right now, and we can see what it actually needs to be in a bit. Yeah, 4 is correct. Oops. That should not be doing that. And I won't spend too much time trying to work that out. I'll just put this in a div, and so it no longer takes on these flex properties. And then we can item center, I believe, should do it. If not, then justify center will. Why is the page refreshing? So item center does the job. And then here, let me change the color. So now it'll start feeling like its true identity. And we're looking at the secondary orange, which is the brand color. Although I don't know, I forget now how icon colors are defined. So let me just take a look. I guess it's just text color. Text brand orange 500, I believe, is the default. Hallelujah. Okay, that works. Let me check my messages just very quickly. Says here, I'm live on YouTube. Okay. So let's get back here. And I don't know how to necessarily adjust the spacing here. I won't worry about the spacing just yet until I get all the elements. And here, one of the things I suppose that I'm doing is where v-if active players dot length is one, where there's one clear winner, possibly undefined. Yeah, we'll just empty it out. And so, yeah, and this is just to solidify the fact that I'm coding for just the single winner. And then we can follow up with another div in a v-else that defines the rest. Okay. And we are here using the player avatar thing. So let's go ahead and do that. Let me close that out and get my player avatar in here. Okay, we'll just say this. I don't think I want that. And I do want the first player. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, I don't want that here. I want that here. And then let me now style the size. So we want this. Yeah, the height and width of icons. I feel like I actually don't know what I have in the player avatar for the icon. We just have Excel. And then let's just take a look at what this has. Icon, Excel. So what's interesting here is they use size here, but they also have a size field. And that is causing me some confusion, but let's see if we can't have a default size. So with the defaults, define this, and then have our defaults here. And I can say size, and this will be for ourselves. Or no. No, I do need to say something like icon classes. And then by default, I can make the size. I'll say 5, knowing that I'll probably have to change it because it'll break everywhere else. And then here I can say class icon classes. And now I'm passing in whatever the icon classes is, and they can be overridden. So they'll have a default size. And then can be overridden here. And then additionally, I want to style the text size here. It seems to have a different font as well. So we'll get to that in a second. But the font size is 96. Okay. Can I just say text 96? Is that legal? That is not. So I can say to Excel, for example. Can I keep on going on this Excel business, like XXL? Well, this 8 happens to be 96, so we're there. What am I doing? What am I doing with my life? You know, not just what am I doing. What? Yo. Okay, that's fine. We'll just, we'll adjust. It seemed like it was a bit bigger than this. Let's try 6, and then let's scale down to 4 and 5. Too big still, it seems. Let's settle on 5. And then let's see if we can't get icon classes in here. And we can say something like size 20. And that does not seem to have translated into the icon. So let's take a look. Classes, that's not, what is that? Come on. That was AI, by the way. I think. Yeah, that was AI. But even without AI, it just seems to not be working. Size 20 is present here. And it is. I can see that it's 80 by 80, but the icon itself is in here, and it doesn't care. So let me take a look at the avatar icon again here. So I have a range of sizes, but I don't know. I don't know. Okay, because I was looking at a different. I was looking at icon, not avatar. So let me see if I can't. So this is no good. So I will have to say something like icon size, and let's say this for now is like 3XL. And here I will have to bring size back. And we'll just say icon size, and it'll be XL by default. Now, this seems to be 3XL, and that's not very large at all. So I want to see whether whether that's the limit that we can have, or whether I can just keep going. So can I just say 8XL? for example. I can. Though my spacing is a bit weirded out here, so let's adjust that. And why is my spacing weird? Like, did I, string is not, man, come on. I'm not gonna fix that actually. Okay. So this is root. Can I say class equals mx? Let's just say 2 broadly. And that should add some space there. Really, it needs a bit more at that size. And so this is going to mess up all the other places. So we'll get to that in a second. But for now, I'm okay to start spacing some of these things. Okay. Give this a margin bottom of 5. That's good. And then the whole thing, I kind of want to give it equal spacing. Well, I wanted to give it equal spacing above and below, but that's not what happens here. What I'll do is I'll give it equal spacing here and here. I think that is what's happening here. 120, and then I think from here to here should also be 120. So, and that would live here, I want to say, or just can be here, right? PY, let me say 8 and let's take a look. That's not high enough. PY 16. You know what? But my spacing and the spacing here is a bit different. So let me just see what it looks and feels like, and then go with that. I can go 32. Well, I feel that'd be like a lot. So let me settle with 24 for now, and then we can play around with the details later. And now let me add another area here about like the honorable mentions. And in my situation for the honorable mentions, I am just going to I'm just going to put in the remaining players in the last round. And that'll allow me some fine. We'll do this, but then, you know, I don't know, is our audit like, is, you know, who are we going to sell to? You know, that's the real question. Is it Americans? And if it is, what does it say? Oh, yeah. If it is, then we're going to have some massive trouble. Then here I can say something like, oops, MB, what was it? 14, which is a bit lower than what I had calculated, but that's fine. And then I'll go ahead and add, I know I didn't change some other elements here, the font, but I kind of want to do that later. Font weight is 600. So let us actually change that. Font, what's bold? Bold is 700. And what's tailwind bold? 600 is semi-bold. I should have known that. Okay, that's better actually. And then let me fill this space out, and then we're done with the screen for now. Honorable mentions, and then let's just take a look at the spacing here. 40. It doesn't seem, you know, right, but okay. And then I want to get a div here with the actual mentions. And what was AI giving me? Let's see. And it seems like it's giving me just a list of players. Let's see what that does. That's just everyone. So what I want to do is I have active players that are coming from. So I actually want these to come from the turn. And here I was doing something like that, which is players in this round. And I want something similar here where I want let player IDs is equal to, and let's say active. Oh, hold on. Yeah, active player IDs. Yeah. Okay, so I'm taking all the player IDs in this turn, and then I'll filter them out here, which is what I was doing here anyway. So if, so we'll say, okay. So I will modify these to only include the player IDs of the people that are active in the game. Although I'm thinking, like, I can actually have a check here where it's like and turn dot state answer state correct. So now it's players with the correct answers, and I have my player IDs. So now I can just go ahead and grab them from the players, and I don't think I need to do this. This is sad for some reason. So, oh yeah, return. And then here, I want to use my active player IDs. And this says active player IDs is never reassigned. That is true. Let's respect that. And then this says active player IDs includes player ID, argument of type number is not assignable to parameter of type Boolean or 0. That's my fault. So what I actually want is first a filter and then a map. And let's see if it knows what to filter. It doesn't. That's fine. So I want to filter this, and then I want a map of this. Yeah, I just kind of jumped the gun there. What am I? Okay. Okay, so that ought to give me the active players. So let me come back here and see whether that's still functioning. It is. I mean, it's grabbing someone, right? So it is working. And then I want inactive players from the turns. And these inactive players will be the group of players that are the losers in the last round. So they're the best losers. And so and here, once this reloads, I expect just 2 players to be here. And now I can probably just style it like this, where there's like this business here. And I'll just do all runner-ups for now, right? So just the runner-up tag, and then runner-up, and it will just be those people. So let's do that. So I want this to be flex row gap 4, sure, why not? And now these should be side by side. Good. And then I want this to be centered overall. So I'll just flex it up with item center and justify center both. And I don't think I need to do anything else here. We can just live with that because this thing will take over and that will be the central piece. And here I don't want this. I don't think I want this either, so I can just get rid of that wholesale, and icon size can just become Excel, which should be the default. So here, I guess we'll get to see the default view of this. And the spacing is quite a lot, so we will need to adjust that based on the size. We do want font semi-bold here, semi-bold, whatever you believe in. And then see that bold, is that because of the font? No, it's just bold. I was like, that bold looks bolder than what I have. Icon, this, and I also want here the badge. So let's give the badge here, and let's just say, oops, come on, runner up. And this is supposed to have an icon here as well. So let's see if that will work as we want, and we don't want an uppercase here. Let's see what that looks like. So we'll fix that in a second. And again, I'm not trying to be, I don't want to, this is maybe not the way of doing this, and there's a proper flex way of adjusting this. Is just not, I'm just not in the mood. Okay, and let's, since it's flex call, item center should do the job here with centralizing everything. So we have our honorable mentions, and let's just fix that icon there is taking up a lot of real estate. Is that just fire? Now it's really small. And did I save? Yeah, I saved. So why did that icon change? Now it did. And now that's too small. So let's just try and get it just right. And I feel like the runner-up also had some more styling here. Italic, italic. Okay, and what else? Medium. The rest I'm going to keep the same. And let's take a look here. And just maybe just the spacing, that looks really close. Font medium was already there. And then we'll say class MB4. It might be a lot, so let's just take a look. It does seem like a lot. Let's just do 3 and live with that. And then at some point, Mary can definitely review all of this and be like, hey, this needs to be spaced this way or that way. This gap does not seem enough for a few reasons. One, there's too much space here, so maybe I should fix that first. Because I just have this. I kind of want to adjust the spacing based on the size of the icon. But I don't know how to do that. So Let's see if there is, right? Let's say CSS set margin based on text size for div. Font size of the body. Body is too easy. It should be rem based, which would adjust it, but it is rem based. So, but it's rem according to the entire page, not according to a specific div. Maybe my question I'm asking is not great because I don't see an immediate solution here. So I'll just solve it the disgusting way. Maybe just by reducing the margin and saying, huh, well, this is what it is all the time. No, that looks terrible. And then honestly, you don't even see the difference down here where this just looks. So what if I were to take it away altogether? Now this looks great, and this looks like, ugh, this looks like the worst day of my life. So what we'll do is, I guess we could still have like icon classes here again, which is empty, right? So let's empty that out. We will apply class here of icon classes. And then there's only one place really in the app where it's this big, which is here. So we'll just have to be mindful of that and set icon classes and then say mx, really mr4. So we're not adding space here necessarily, it's just in between. And here, actually, I can even go bigger because even that space seems like it's not enough. That looks a bit nicer to me, so I'll leave it at that. This is still too close, so let's add some spacing there. And that is here. And honestly, I could just double that probably. Just a little bit more. Okay, I think that looks fine. So now we have a screen where we, in the last round, if there's a single winner, we have this situation. And I'm happy to commit this. Now, and I resolved the case of this as well, where like, okay, I was like, oh, the margin is going to break broadly. But now we have a default set, so that works. Here, I just changed the button style, so that's fine. Same thing, button style here. And then over here, this is just the wholesale change of this page. So styling leader board for one winner. Let's see what happens when there are multiple winners. And maybe I can just, maybe I can just place something in here as a placeholder and we can deal with it later. So let me have 3 winners and 1 loser. Right, so here I'll start the round, answer incorrect, next up, reveal answer, correct, next up, reveal answer, correct, next up, reveal answer, correct, finish round, and then end the game. And now nothing shows up. There's 1 runner-up because I guess I did this work out of that if statement. And nothing shows up here because that if statement is blocking everything from displaying. So first thing first, let's get our if statements correct, which is perhaps, oops, this can actually go all the way here. And I can do that. Now, if I go back, once this refreshes, I should see nothing in the center. And maybe I can rethink what this will display all together. So I've copy pasted it all, and let's change this to else. And now we should see the same thing with things for me to modify. So what if I said every active player gets their own winner section here for now? And maybe it's a little bit smaller than what the other one was. And maybe that suffices for now. Actually, that would work for both, right? If all I did was display all remaining kind of correct answers here. If there was one, it would just show like this. And if there weren't, it wouldn't. So let's just get everyone there. But maybe I won't, because maybe I think the spacing here should be a little different. Okay, so this is the crown. Everyone should get their own crown, which means I want to div this up with a v4. And let's see if this picks up what I want. Player inactive players, key player ID. Yes, yes, yes. I don't know how I'm going to style this yet. So let me just close the div up and place all of this in here. And let's see at first what this looks like. So this becomes player. And then I can start sizing it and correcting it as well. So first thing first, this is flex call. So I don't want call, I actually want row. That's better. And then here I want a class to center all the items, correct? Give them some spacing. And then the spacing is tight, and what happens if there's more people? It'll just look bad. And that's just it. That's just sometimes you can't have everything, okay? Can't have everything all the time. And I've just reduced some sizes here. Let me increase the space here and reduce this size here as well. So that gap can be maybe 6. And then this should definitely be much smaller. Let's do half the size. The badge can remain, and I feel like these need to be spaced out. So the spacing should actually be done by flex, not by this. So it should be justify around. I believe that's the one. Let's just double check. And now it should add space here, and I think this is fine for now. Well, actually, I should probably have a gap here as well and justify around. And as that's happening, let me double check my messages as well. Okay. Some sips of coffee. This still seems too close, like it's unclear who that icon is for, because the spacing almost seems equal and equal here. So maybe we don't need any spacing here. And maybe that will adjust it enough for the eyes. This is a little bit better, but I guess I still need some space here. This doesn't feel right. Adding a little bit more, and maybe I'm adding it to the wrong thing, because I feel like I'm not even seeing anything changing. So it's definitely not this. What's happening is that spacing is increasing. So I'm definitely not adding it to the right. I'm like, let's change this up. Let's do this. Let's do that. All for naught. So that's the gap between all these elements, and that's not That's not right. The gap that I wanted is actually here. So now if I do justify around, that I want it actually here. This justify around is useless. And this gap 4 is what it should be. I wonder what happens now if I take away this gap. Will the justify around adjust everything, or will it not? No, I do need that gap. And since I want it to be more, that looks better. This should be closer, and there should be more space here. And there's too much space over here for this size. So even less, to be honest. And I think that's starting to look a bit better. At this stage, when there's multiple winners, should there even be an honorable mention? I'm going to leave it in for now, but maybe there shouldn't be. And I could probably go ahead and remove the footer altogether. No, I can't, because there's a back to home button here and a share button, which we don't know what to do with. So I'm not going to implement that at the moment. Let me do a back to home. I don't even need to do all that, do I? Just place a div in here. Well, okay, let me just see what my friend AI is giving me. It is giving me like a back the game type situation. So it also has the feeling. And then what I want is a back to home, and I don't remember how to use buttons. I don't know how to place the icon up front in a button, so I just say icon, and then there's icon and trailing icon. So let's see if it can figure out what I want. Yeah, it knows. Back to home. I click and it brings me back to the screen over here. Okay, so I think we have most of what we want here. I need to adjust the colors on the buttons, and maybe that's what I can do next. So adding leadership board case for multiple winners. And let's put that in quotes because, come on. Okay. All right, so now I have the case where some of these buttons don't look good because of so the incorrect and correct buttons specifically. And let me try and correct that. Just finding where the button is. So this is a button. No, I think these are the buttons. And then here's my config that I had to comment out in order to get the other buttons looking well. So maybe there's some combination here that will work. So really what I want is when it's solid and color is error, the text color should be. But I don't think there's a way to have multiple theming situations where like this and that. Yeah, I'm not seeing that. It's like when color is this, do this. When variant is this, do this. It's not what I want. So maybe there's just an override style I can do here for these specific buttons. Let's say text white here, and then go ahead and do the same thing here. And maybe this will be accepted by reveal answer. And yeah, that does seem like it was accepted. Yeah, okay. I'm happy with that, even though I don't have like a sort of a solid solution here. It's good enough for now. And I can commit fix text color on correct buttons. Okay. All right, so now I have a situation where maybe I can start to look at, so this eventually might be the page Mary was talking about, which is the page before the game page. But for now, let me see what I can do here, which is maybe styling. Actually, maybe I'm going to start here. Start with this page and work my way back, oddly enough. And that's because there's more elements here. There's like, not that there's more elements here, sorry. There's this that I need to figure out. I mean, okay, whatever. There's like a few elements here, if you think about it. Okay, let's do this. So let's generate players, start the game, and this is the page we are working with. And here it says to be decided, because I think what we did was we took all of this and we're centralizing it. So in this, it just says round one, round one. Yeah, you know, in this case, I don't even know if we necessarily need a top of page here. So let me go to start round. So in the round page, do we need a header? What happens if I just get rid of it? Seems fine. I'm okay with it. I'm not okay with that misalignment, so we'll see what we can do about it later, if at all. Because I might want to do it even more later. Like maybe I don't want to deal with that right now at all. So let's get first up player avatar, and then we can style it in a second. Yeah, div, and then say first up, comma, player avatar, first player, and okay, cool. And then we can begin to style this. I think this should be a span. First of all, just because of the variation in styling that we'll end up doing. And then I want to flex it up, definitely with item center. I don't know if I want to MB14. The rest is fine. I think maybe the gap can be less. Should be less, in fact. And we will adjust the gap later when we have adjusted the size. These need to be side by side, so it's definitely row. And now it seems like it's centered, right? Before this was a little bit up and down, and this wasn't. So now it looks more fluid, and now I can size it. Let's take a look here. 96, which we learned the last time, is too large. Both of these are the same, and weight is 600. So I think I can style all of. Can I just style all of it up here? Font medium, text. Let's say 3XL for now, and then we'll figure out the details. And let's see if that applies to this entire line equally. Yeah, it did. I do want a larger icon, and then maybe I can look at my leaderboard to see how I sized it, and I think I can just copy these sizes. I might actually just be able to copy the entire thing, and then the player becomes first player. Okay. Yeah, I mean, we'll adjust the spacing here. We'll adjust this as well. Like, what did I do? Semi-bold here. Yeah, I don't know why I did medium here. This should have been semi-bold to begin with. Text should have been 5 to begin with. This MR is too large for this scenario, so let's settle it down. And maybe it actually should be a little bit of MX business happening here. Maybe ML2, just so I get a little bit more spacing here. And then maybe I can actually pay a little bit attention to the font now, because I think Mary set up a different font, and I'll go around trying to adjust it. So yeah, font Balu, Blue. It's the font. Look how fast that kind of autocomplete thing is. That's not the spelling, is it? No. There we go. And that should apply to everything here, but I probably don't want it. Actually, I shouldn't even be styling this here, right? This should all be here, first of all. And there's no second of all. Okay, yeah, now that starting to look like something. And then you have 90 seconds to answer. That's the second bit of business here. Okay. And then we'll just put that in a div for now and then style it accordingly. You have, it's not 90 seconds. It's the first question number of seconds. So let's just say 90 seconds for now to answer. This also seems to be Balu. And then the size is 64. So we'll just say text 3XL for now, given the text above is 5XL. And font weight, I believe, is medium. It is. So let's see what this begins to look like. That spacing should be much more. It looks quite a bit different because I think this can be larger actually, and then both of these can be larger. And they all need to be centered. So item center. And then let's, yeah, why don't we go ahead and adjust this size here to maybe 7. I can get rid of that from here. I can also probably just get rid of that. The rest can remain the same for now. Let's see what that looks like. That's too big, right? Maybe it's actually okay, but let me just say 6 for now, and then this can be 4 for now. Let's add a little bit more spacing here. MB 14. Still don't like how it's not using proper HMR. And it's, what am I doing wrong here? Yeah, definitely that. So that is not that at all. Like this, that's MB 10, which I had originally because I had placed the spacing on the incorrect div. Okay. Now that's definitely too much. Let's go with 6, and let's also add MB6 here as well. And let's start taking a look at, it's just ready. And I think these stylings are the same. You know, first glance, they do seem the same. So ready question mark, yes. And then this button over here can appear. Now, I don't remember why we had an endgame here, but I will respect that for now. We'll get rid of the B. So this will now start to look like that. I'll change the styling and the sizing of that in a second. It just says start round because the assumption is you've read what it said here. And then the icon, it's icon trailing. Arrow right. Just want to make sure that is correct before I size it. It is not correct. Icon. Trailing icon, not icon trailing. Ugh. So now that should appear, and then let me just get rid of the size because it should just be the default size. And that looks better. So now we got the start round. I still have a button here. I haven't done a few other things. It seems like in the styles, these borders are a lot subtle, but they're not in the game. I won't change that for now, actually. Let me take a look at the round page to see whether these match. And they do seem to match. So I'm a bit confused as to why these aren't aligned as they should be. But again, I'm not going to look into it now. I just want to get the general sense of the page functioning first, and then maybe looking at other elements later, you know, at a later time. Okay. So I think I'm happy with this. It doesn't look exact, I know, but generally I'm okay with it. Weight is 500. And I did put 500 there, so because these seem bolder to my eye than what I see here. But I don't think it's worth fussing about right now. Because we'll do a once over about all the spacing and styling and sizing, and then that'll be that. Okay, so here I think I just added the font, and here, and I know this font I'll need to apply broadly elsewhere in the kind of the headers, let's just say. And maybe I should start using those tags and titles better, like just for accessibility reasons. Styling round start page. Okay. Didn't mean to exit everything. Right, how am I doing for time? Let me take a look to see what else I can do. So we did this page. Let's see if we can't do this page. And then maybe that's enough for today. Let's see. Because I think the next big thing after this, oh, look at that. V3, V2, V1. Ah, all right. Okay. Let's get this page settled. And this page would be this page. Yeah, I mean, definitely. This page needs help. And we're going to get you some help. Okay. Enter a list of players to start a honeypot math game. Enter a list of players to start a honeypot math game. Exclamation mark? Is there one? There isn't. I don't know. I don't know. You know, where's the enthusiasm? Where's the, I don't know. I'm just saying. Let's style this. I'll just span it up and I'll style the spam. Style the spam. It's not font. Blue. It's semi-bold 2XL, which I think in my language is just XL. What did I do here? Okay. Okay, that's better. I don't even know what I'm looking for. That's better. Let's get this to be the entire thing and then enter one name per line. And this is just, what is this? Pencil. Get rid of that. I don't see why I can't otherwise just do that. IRCI this, and I think I just copy everything in here and paste. And that pencil looks like it just fell. You know, here it was like on its tip diagonally, and now it's just like, I'm tired. I think that's the same pencil. Let's see how it appears on the internet. Yeah, it's definitely just like, ugh, this pencil hates its life. I'll take a look later. Maybe I'll take a look now. Auto emoji. Pencil. It's the only pencil. Can I just copy this? Like, can I just copy? Because I don't want to copy this. I want to be like just this in text, you know? I know there's a way of doing it. I don't know how to do it. And I know there's ways I can get emojis in here, but I don't know how either. Okay, I tried. If this was like copyable in text, I would have put it there. I don't see like the text version of this, you know? What if I just say text pencil emoji? I think I can copy this and paste it. Yeah, that works. Okay, so I tried and I won. Okay, and that's what matters at the end of the day. It's winning. That's what I tell the kids. This, I don't know why I'm spending a lot of time here, but that icon definitely is messing up like my, like that. Why is that duplicating? And when I save, it disappears. So it's definitely doing a job on my text editor. And that looks fine. Enter one name per line. And should there be an exclamation mark here? You know, I'm just saying. Okay, so what I actually want here, I want to see what elements are present here. So yeah, I will turn this into a div instead of a template because I might want to style it a little bit different. And then here I can say flex, oops, I can say class. Flex call is fine. Gap is fine. Item center, I don't really want item center. Maybe I could just say item start actually. And then with full, that's what I wanted. So that I could come down here and say something like class with full. just to begin and see what this starts feeling like. Even though I said rows and calls here, let's get rid of these calls. And now that's better. That's starting to take the entire page as we should. Let me just take a look at the spacing here. I don't even know why there's any spacing there. In here, I'll just leave it like this though. Let me just, what if I put a padding of 2 around here? So this, no, that doesn't work. I thought, because if I did a padding here, I thought that padding would apply internally to this. So there is a padding on this text area. It's PY 1.5. And my heart said, hey, I want more. So let's just take a look to see whether I can do that here. This is unnecessary, but just out of my own curiosity, I'm trying to see what it would entail exactly. I thought I clicked on this. And let's take a look at the elements here. So UI text area root, UI text area slots root. Where's the PY definition here? Ah, okay. So it depends on the size. Let's see what happens when I say size large. And I think these are the things I don't love about using these libraries, but whatever. I'm just going to move on. Okay, and then we want generate and upload CSV button. So we have a generate. This submit button is going to go into the footer. So let me prep that. Let's see how that looks. Okay, so now it's here. It should be at the end. So let's get that there first. First order of business. Okay. And let's see what this starts looking like. So I'm expecting this to jump there. Great. And then I have, okay, I have the text area here, and then I have a div of buttons here, and I want this text area to also take H full. So I wanted to take the remaining space. And did that happen? That did not happen. And that's probably because this and this need to also be H fulls. So I need H full all the way up, I believe. And now we're looking at this, and I'm not entirely sure why. So let's take a look. I would have thought, so this has a full, and then I guess I need to apply it here. So let's get back here and see. Because I was like, oh, it depends on the size and this and that. So maybe I can just apply it to root and everything else be damned, right? I hope so. Let's just see if there isn't some other option as ID, name, placeholder, color, variant, size, rows, UI, and then, so I can go UI root directly here for this styling. So let's do that. UI root, and then I can say, yeah, H full, W full in here, and hopefully this just works. not only did it not just work, it just didn't work. So let's get in here and see. So this is a W full here. And then in terms of height, maybe the rows is taking over. And then I have this and this. I don't know which of these. Okay, so the rows was worse, right? The rows was propping the whole enterprise. And now we have nothing. And just for confirmation to say, hey, if this did say H full, would it work? It would work. So now we just have to find out how we get that in there. So let's begin by actually saying something like la 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 la, and let's see where that la 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 lands. I haven't seen the movie, so I don't know. That means nothing to me. So it's all jumping up here. So this is root. So my understanding of this was incorrect. So there's root, there's base. So what's base? Yeah, okay. It seems like base is our friend. And we want, let's keep the la there. And let's get this into base. And now it should appear as we want. It did. We can get rid of La La Land. And okay. That was just my understanding of how that worked. We have generate players. Let's style this button accordingly. Sparkles, of course. And generate player. And this button itself, let's see if the is outline. Okay. Sparkles. This is actually very nice. I had not seen this before, but it's sort of nice to have exact mappings one-to-one. Size, state, slot, square. I was just looking for color, you know? And it's weird that that isn't immediately part of this here. That's fine. Variant is outlined, so we'll just do that. And maybe color is, it seems very see-through. Did it not? What happened here? So we want the color not to be that. So it's not secondary, it's not primary either. It's gonna be, what colors are available. So primary, secondary, we defined. So I'm gonna pick neutral, which I think that's what it was. Neutral. And hopefully this starts to look like what we intend. Great. Click here, generate some players, and then proceed. I want this to be larger in my heart. And I thought that's what this would do, right? Size Excel, LG, SM. So Excel. Yeah, that's larger. That'll do for now. And then let's see if I can't get some idea of this. Upload CSV, something I'll do later. Here, what I'm thinking is maybe this takes up the whole, like maybe this just replaces this whole thing. Because that's what it's doing here anyway, for now. So it should, this is its own card altogether. And I guess that spacing there should be aligned. So I'll get to that in a second. Let me refresh this. Generate, click. Unfortunately, what will happen is this view will keep refreshing, but that's fine. Confirm your player list. Let's go. Okay. So in this case, we want to replicate the card all over again. So if I did, and then because I was changing the innerness of this, so if this, and then I was like, please review. So this please review business will come out in a second, and it will get its own ucard altogether. So here I can say something like v-if player length is equal to 0. And then at the end of this, I can say v else. And now we can start adding some elements here bit by bit. Confirm your player list. Exclamation mark. And then I'll want the edit players button. We do already have an edit players button. So let me actually just grab this entire div all together, bring it here for now, even though this doesn't quite make sense just yet. Justify around over here, and the start button I'll need to move. Oh no, the start button goes away. Here doesn't even enter the picture. I can get rid of this entire div because now it's, and then we don't need this else in here anymore. And we don't need some of these things. So now it just becomes a player list altogether. And it is. I will keep the numbers, I think. So this doesn't have, but just so you can easily eyeball how many players there are, just in case you made a mistake. And then the edit players button we have up top, so we can get rid of that. And the start game button now belongs here. And first I'll just copy paste. This becomes create game with trailing icon, arrow right, MD primary solid. All of that seems correct. And let's take a look at what this looks like. There was a lot of code changes without any concern. So let's get this list here. Let's get this W fold up so it's on the edges. Let's change the edit players button and all of that stuff. So edit players, it's not soft. Your outline neutral is correct. This needs to be W full. Huh. Seems like it didn't like it. And I don't like how it's restarting and not. I said around instead of this should be between. So a W full is sort of, I guess, not really doing much. And then every time I change it, it's going to refresh, which is annoying, but I'll live with it. And then I want this to not be centered, but just be listed like this. But the thing I do want to do is maybe test the case where there's like 30 or 40 players. So let's do item start. Let's get rid of justify center as well. I guess theoretically I don't need that at all. And then honestly, that doesn't have to be in another div. And that can just be that. I can probably add a little bit more spacing here. Oops. And then Um, okay, and let's begin to take a look at what that starts looking like. I thought that spacing would have applied, but doesn't seem like it did, and so maybe I put it in the wrong place. Come on, wait. Yeah, what am I doing? Unreal. Okay. Let's start with a 5, and then we can tone it down as we go. And then maybe test for the case where that list might bleed. 5 is too much. Let's end up with a 3, and then instead of 10 players, let's add 50. Why not? Let's go full. Not that there would be 50 players, but let's just see what that feels like. Okay, come on. So I guess I want to see if maybe there's a way that I can have this be like columns, like the grid situation. So one thing I guess I'll do, just so I'm not, jumping around, I could say player names dot value is equal to an array of like Alice, someone, and then I can just say paste that 40 times or something. And now when I come here, I expect to be on this page. Did not expect that. Ah, yeah, because it's player names versus player list. Yeah, so this should be player list. And now I expect, oh, okay, come on. That's my fault. That should be name. So let me just get rid of that. Let's add name Alice, la, 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 la. And I can copy this, and paste it 40 times. And now I really feel like that name should be visible here. There you go. It's just taking a little bit of time to refresh. So now I don't have to submit the generate player list. I should have done that 5 minutes ago or 10 minutes ago. How would I get it to, why is it restarting on its own? Okay. Something to look into later or never. Right, just trying to think what kind of elements would allow me to get this working like I want. So I'm gonna go take a look at Tailwind Flex just to see whether that would maybe, what does grid autoflow even mean? I don't know. 1, 2, because I haven't used grids much, but I feel like if it was a grid, it would effectively cover what we want. Let me try. Why not? Alice. So I think here, just instead of using a list, sure, let's just say 4 columns. Why not? And instead of doing this, I'll just use regular old divs. That will get rid of the numbers, and I'll just add that number here manually. index dot space. And let's take a look to see what it begins to shape up like and where things land. That's nicer, but I would want it to be like this. So let's see if there ain't a way to indicate the flow of things. There's got to be, right? So if I just go here one by one. So this one seems like, so if I, but I don't want 4 grid rows. So I did look down the list here and it says, I want 4 columns. I think it's this that I want. Grid flow columns with the columns setting. Oops. It's not what I want, right? Yeah, what is that even? I'm just playing around to see what it does, if anything at all. No, that doesn't work. I also realized just very quickly I need to do +1 here so that the count makes sense. And then let's take a look at so many ways to make it work. Now it's not showing me any examples, so I don't know. Let's go back here. I know I want 4 columns. I know I want 4 columns, but I want my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Get just other things. So let me maybe just Google this. And see if I Garrett autoflow row 1, 2, 3. That's not what I want. I want 1, 2, 3, right? So Garrett autoflow column 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That seems like what I want. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe. But grid autoflow column. Grid autoflow columns. Auto calls max. I don't know what max does. Auto calls auto. Let's try that first. So what I want is 1, 2, 3. And I generally thought this would be much simpler. No. But that makes me think that none of these will do what I want. I mean, what's this going to do if this couldn't do it? Also, in my example here, it was grid auto flow column. So let's see what that looks like here. Grid auto columns, not grid auto flow. So I should be here. Grid flow calls, grid auto flow columns. So that's just a reading comprehension issue. Okay. And let's see if this just works. So it doesn't just work. Do I need more? Let's just take a look at the thing here to see what this has. So display grid, display template columns, display template rows. So it has a number of rows. So it's a very simple grid definition with some variation here. So I don't feel like, so let's take a look at what this looks like in our situation, right? So I have this, that's the grid. I have these elements in here. Do these need to be marked as like grid-ish elements? I don't know. Let's see. No, doesn't seem like it. Should I be saying explicitly row span 1 and col span 1? Maybe that will help. Maybe not. No, it doesn't seem like it cares. Just give it a couple more moments here before I give up and go eat my banana. So where did these people go? What happened to all these guys? All these Alices? Grid calls for, I just don't know. I should actually try and learn how grids work, right? I think that's the grand lesson. But let's see if I can't try and figure some things out. Grid calls 3 to start, and then this is just call span business, where some of these are taking up extra spans. Grid template rows. This does what I want in a sense, but I don't want to limit the number of rows I have. Maybe this is the kind of thing I would have to do in order to get away with what I'm trying. I mean, this is hideous. Can I say grid calls for as well? And then is there like a magic thing here? Grid rows. Not none. What's subgrid? A subgrid is like this inner grid. Okay, fine. Let's see what happens if I do 4, 4. And maybe we'll leave it at like, so they all kind of bunch together. I don't like this at all. I feel like this should be a lot simpler. But I think that's just my lack of knowledge and experience with grids speaking. So I'm also okay trying flex call. And I feel like the flex call will bleed into the next column. So this actually happened to have worked by luck. But maybe I give up on grid altogether. Let me copy paste this so it's present. And we are going to say goodbye to all the grids and flex call. Let's start here and see what it feels like. And I probably should have a gap in here somewhere. And then I should also probably remove these. And maybe I don't even need this at all. And actually, I can just have a gap 4. And with the flex business, I just wanted to flow over without it. And I think flex ought to be able to do that, right? Flex wrap. I would have assumed that it was flex wrap by default. So I'm a little skeptical that this will just work. And here, okay, I mean, it is working. But I don't want this spacing, right? So I want the spacing to be different. Maybe I should maybe at some point in my life go learn what grids, how grids actually work. Okay, but then when is this? Why is that spacing so much? And that's because I guess because of these divs. Because ideally I just want everything kind of just. So flex call, flex wrap. Actually, I'm actually just even happy to leave it like this for now. Like, so what? Because I guess I'm concerned that if I don't do this, it's gonna like in my test case here, they're all pretty equally sized. But in reality, they're not going to be, and they should probably just take over the space accordingly. The last thing that's bugging me here on this page is why it's bleeding over. So maybe I can remove a series of Alice's. And just maybe paste 9 of them, or 10 in total. So I get a list of 10 Alice's. That's a long, maybe my computer just needs a restart. And now this fits in properly. But the list of 40, which I'll kind of bring back now, pushes the page over the edge. And that should come by in a second. Okay. And I don't know why exactly, because there's enough space here for these to kind of go over without pushing the entire page down. So I'm wondering what's inspiring the code to do that. First of all, do I even need the surrounding div? I don't think I do, and maybe I'll also get rid of that padding alignment here. Yeah, this, so it does, first of all, so there's that. I still have this bleeding issue. So let's try and see if we can't figure that out. H full overflow hidden. So really that ought to address it. H full. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know off the top of my head why that's happening. Is there some additional spacing concern here? I'm having it in this page here, this U card. So let me just give it a top to bottom once over. I am okay with this. Let's actually just see what this is like, okay? And then this, just this little bit here. What if I didn't do H full here? Although that doesn't seem right to me, but okay, fine, let's see. That doesn't, like, that's even worse. So if I don't do H full, like you don't even care about the flex anymore, you actually need a height. So what if I also width fold you up? This div, I'm also looking to see if there's any margins, anything else. What if I reduce the gap? That seems unlikely, right? I'm just kind of reaching here. I don't feel like this should be the case. For example, if I did that, this kind of thing would happen. And that's fine. But why can't, like, there's enough space here for it to just work. Is it this padding? That makes no sense to me. The padding should not make a difference. U card, full, flex, call. These are columns. With some fixed heights. What if I didn't have a fixed height for this? How would that behave? Well, that doesn't make any sense. So this is fixed, this is full. So it should accommodate everything that's overflow hidden. So, I mean, additionally, it should just work, I think. But let's just, let's play a little. I would understand this if there wasn't enough space to kind of flow over, but there's plenty of space. Also, modern CSS has changed tremendously in the last while. I mean, this is worse, right? Because I think I absolutely need to give this a height. It has changed tremendously, and then the overflow is not there as well. So, and I haven't kept up with all the modifications in CSS over time. So all of this is kind of necessary. What if I did overflow? Sure. Let's try overflow scroll by scroll. Yeah, let's try it. Yeah, I'm really confused by this. Let's just say. Game index, H full. This is fixed. So everything in here ought to just align. 22 players. That's the 20 players. That's the max we'll do. Actually, let me just try it for 20 players to see, and maybe I'm okay with it not working right now, and I can adjust later. So I'll say 19, and let's see what this feels like with 20 players along the side, which should land us here. And so there should be no overflow, which again defeats the whole point of me doing that whole exercise. So that works fine. Maybe I do need to brush up on my CSS, and especially in terms of the screen size. And as this refreshes, I'm gonna check one last thing before I go. So the moment I do this, it no longer works, which bugs me. Maybe I can get some friends to help me with it at some point in the future. So this is my HTML. Okay, that seems just very regular. This is my head, body, and this is my div. And I just have a background color assigned here. So this is my overall div, and this is my app div. This is HScreen. Should that even be flex? But I want to see what happens if I just get rid of some elements here. That did not help any. If I get rid of this overflow hidden, now it becomes scroll, right? I mean, but the whole point of doing that overflow hidden was so that everything fits. And then there's an overflow hidden here as well. So like I don't know what I'm doing wrong necessarily. And what just happens, for example, if we get rid of this, because this should prevent every, like, that should be the factor that allows respect for, yeah, I don't know. I will need to take a better look at how to use HScreen and learn the CSS around that. So, but for now, I guess we'll live with the scenario where 20 students works. It does bleed over, but this button gets hidden, which is unfortunate, but true. This happens, by the way. So this, actually, I continue to break it. So that's definitely something I need to look into. But I'm going to wrap up for now, and maybe tomorrow, maybe I'll do it live. Like I won't look into it on my own. And tomorrow I'll come in, and the first thing I want to do is adjust this so that, because this is causing this to flow down and it shouldn't. And so tomorrow at a random time, or maybe not tomorrow, but maybe also tomorrow at a random time in the future, I'll be back with another session. But thanks for joining me today on this session of Product Like It's Friday, even though it is a Saturday. Yeah, I'll try and fix this the next thing. All right. Good night, and let's go home, everyone.